Good morning. Welcome to the Stockbridge Cemetery Commission on Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. The first thing we're going to be looking at is the approval of minutes, March 21st. And also there was a typo in the January 31st minutes. It said 2022. It wasn't. It was 2023. You guys approved it last time, so I just thought I'd run it by everybody again. Any motion on the?
I'll make a motion to approve as
Second.
amended.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Great. The next item on the agenda is the utilities and water at the garage, but since Hugh is not here, we're going to skip that for right now. The next item is the signs for the cemetery. I'd actually like to move past that one too, Candace, if that's okay with you, and get to the bylaw discussion. So we can release Terry.
Okay.
We'll go back to it.
We'll go back to it.
Yep.
We will, okay? I just want to do the bylaw thing next, okay? So I sent out to everyone the bylaws as we have currently configured them with one exception, that is the 1.2. And we have different versions, alternate versions here. So everyone take a moment and look them over.
I like version 1. I think it's simpler.
Pat?
Yeah, I prefer version 1 too, because I think that the transferring, I don't know that it's really necessary from the standpoint that if the person stays in the house, they would qualify. And if they are a resident and leave for medical reasons and whatever, they still qualify. It would be the people that would have been transferred and then they left because they wanted to leave. So I don't think that that's really necessary. And I think it's discriminatory because it wouldn't apply for people that don't have any family.
Okay.
So I vote for alternate 1.
Candace?
Yes, I was just going to confirm that we're talking about alternate version 1. Can I read it out loud?
Sure. Residents or taxpayers, including those residents or taxpayers who have needed to move out of town for additional care or to care for others, shall be entitled upon death to be interred in a burial plot in the town cemetery, subject to the requirements of this article.
So can I just ask, so they still have to be paid, they still have to own something here, they still,
They still have to pay taxes.
okay.
So somebody that just owns land and pays taxes, they would qualify too. But we figured that they probably won't be interested in being buried here.
Then do we
I
need,
just wonder the way I read it here, who have needed to move out of town, so should it say current?
Oh.
Or something, I don't know. I'm
It just
thinking-
says residents.
I know.
So that's anybody that rents or owns their house or pays taxes on their house or whatever.
And so if somebody lived here for 80 years.
Yep.
And then moved to Campbell Farm and sold their house to afford it, they may not currently be a taxpayer, but I don't believe we should bar them from being buried in the cemetery.
But they're still residents. They
not
were
now.
residents.
no,
So I
At the
guess
point
what I'm
that they
saying is
left.
so this makes it sound like,
It doesn't like she say former residents in the included clause?
oh, I mean, so instead of, so residents or taxpayers, including those former residents or taxpayers.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Does that help, Terry?
and there's no, suppose someone just lived here for 6 months or say, I'm just.
Yeah, I know.
Throwing it out there. I know. It's
No, you're right.
I want to take care of the long-term ones, and if it opens the door for somebody to live here for 6 months.
because I know it is, for some people, well, a lot of people, it's a very big deal, to be buried in the cemetery. So I'm just.
No, you're also right. Candace, you often speak to this issue, so.
Yeah, I like inserting the word former residents or taxpayers in that clause. And so is that Terry who was just speaking?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that
Okay.
means that somebody could have, if you say former, then it could be somebody that moved away 5 years ago.
Right.
Maybe recent
Well, see,
former?
and that's what I'm thinking. No.
That's why you don't think you need former, because it's residents or taxpayers, including though, I would say including those who have needed to move to assisted.
Oh, no, that opens it up to people who moved away 30 years ago.
Well,
Here's a question I have for you, Karen. Is there anywhere that you envision in the regulations that gives some reasonable common sense flexibility to this board to make a determination on a request? I mean, I think that this is one of the reasons we're trying to do this is to empower the regulations that this board can promulgate. And I think that these points are easily, look, you were born here 80 years ago, but you haven't lived here since. We don't really think you get a right to get buried here, or versus you lived here your whole life and you went to Kemble Farm and you had to sell your house to pay for it. We definitely think you do. I think that the commission.
Yeah, I actually did at one point, and I didn't put it into this version. I had written a version where I said, all other requests will go before the cemetery commission, and the cemetery commission can make that decision.
I think that kind of cut that would
That would make it,
alleviate
yeah.
that issue,
Common sense.
because then you wouldn't run it, then you're not putting it out there,
Yeah.
a blank check that anybody, just because you lived here 5 minutes, you
Yeah.
might have moved away, but you can be buried here. I think
Yeah.
I have every confidence in the commission. I think we should just give it some
I agree.
flexibility.
Well, I had put that in there at one point, and then it's very
Yeah.
slight down.
Yeah, and so I was sort of against leaving that in because I thought that put us in a position where the commission needs to decide. And it's like, it's such a gray area. It was tough to make that decision. But, I'm hearing the discussion that maybe that's better to do that.
I can see it being taken advantage of.
Absolutely. And the thing I liked about it was, in most cases, it's very clear what's going to happen based on what we're saying. And those iffy cases, I came to it because I realized it depends. Have you been here 5 minutes? Have you been here 50 years? I mean, as a commission, we could make, and I don't think we get that many requests. So I would like to, okay, good, I'll add that back in.
Okay, can you please repeat what those words should be?
Let me see. So do we need the word former in there?
No, well, not if we had this.
No, we had this, right?
Okay. So then it would be the first paragraph, residents or taxpayers. Okay. And then I think, I had a version. I'm sorry, I don't have it with me. But
I'm trying to open it right now. I'm trying to.
Oh,
find
good,
it.
because I had sent it to Candace. Oh, Candace, that'll be great. So while she's doing that, actually, if you go down to alternate version 2, go down to the second paragraph, nine primary residents, blah, 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 whose family members. I'm suggesting we add that because it is actually something we're doing
I
now.
agree, yeah.
So I thought this would be a way of reassuring people, so they won't have to write to the cemetery commission and say, what's this all about,
What is it, were you by a burial plot, you talking about Sedgwick Pie or something? Like,
No, we had this request from a woman in
Some
Colorado.
people have 4 plots, so if even though their parents might be buried there, but the kids live someplace else, if there's room.
Right.
And how would this new paragraph not cover these folks? Reasonable request by the commission? Because
Well, they would have to have it, but there has to be a plot already there.
Right.
Someone has to already
family
have a
plot,
whereas.
that second, that,
your concern around family members is that,
no, this is.
I understand,
People that have that's just
okay, that's fine.
We actually had that case, that woman from Colorado grew up here, her parents are buried here, she's planning on being cremated, she hasn't lived here in 30 years. We all said, oh yeah, of course she should be able to come
Right,
back.
as long-
But I'd like
as
to,
long as it's there and as you've already been established.
Right. So I would like to have that in there because again,
Yeah.
this is for when people go online and say, well, am I eligible?
Yeah.
Let's make it as clear as possible. Candace, any luck on this one, on finding the other?
So, yes, the cemetery commission will review all other non-primary resident requests and decide those on a case-by-case basis.
Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Lovely. I make a motion that we accept alternative version 1 with changes.
Wait a minute.
So it's just going to be,
She's making notes for us here, so.
so it's just going to be residents or taxpayers upon death are entitled.
No, it's going to say including those who have needed to move out of town for additional.
Okay.
alternate version 1, that first paragraph stands with and then we're going to add that line that,
Yeah,
Cemetery. So can I read what I have?
yes,
Okay, so alternate version 1 states, residents or taxpayers, including those residents or taxpayers who have needed to move out of town for additional care or to care for others shall be entitled upon death to be interred in a burial plot in the town cemetery, subject to the requirements of this article. The Cemetery Commission will review all other non-primary resident requests and decide those on a case-by-case basis. And here, no right of interment pursuant to this article may be transferred or sold.
we're also going to add the non-primary residents whose family members down alternate number 2, the second paragraph. We're going to add that in there. So the no right of interment, I think, comes last.
Yes, okay, so.
Under the
yes,
second paragraph.
So the cemetery, where, do we want the non-primary residents before the Cemetery
Yeah.
Commission will review all other?
No. Well, yes.
Yeah, I think it should be the
Yes,
second
yes.
paragraph in the new one.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
Then
Right.
it answers that question, and then they know they don't, that's not an issue.
Yes, yeah.
Are you glad you stayed?
You were extraordinarily helpful. You saved us, Gary.
Fresh eyes, fresh eyes.
somebody that works with it all the time.
Okay, so
All right,
what,
That's much better, and we can always put into the policies.
Yes.
Some of the guidelines that we would use for making those decisions.
absolutely. I think that's a great place to put
We
it.
have a motion now for those 4 paragraphs that were just recited. I make a motion that be the recommended bylaw language.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Terry, thank you so much.
You're
You are
welcome.
released. That's it. You're done.
Again.
Bye.
This is wonderful. All right.
Oh, nice,
Patrick.
nice and clean.
I get this to you. I get a packet to you. I'm creating a packet.
These interment section 2, we don't need to talk about?
No, everything else we've already passed on.
So yes, you should get me a packet. Now, I need you to send it to Donna today to make sure that if she has any language changes, it makes it into the final packet for Thursday.
Okay.
All right, and then I don't see any reason why we can't vote on it to put it on the warrant Thursday.
Let me tell you, what the document I've created says, this is what we have now. This is
No.
how it's not
We're
working.
going to replace everything.
But then let me tell you what the packet for you guys to examine.
Oh, okay.
This is what we have now. This is why it's not working. This is what we want to change it to. Does that work for you, or do you want a different format?
I've been to all these meetings, so I assume you're coming Thursday?
Yes.
All right, so I would treat that as your notes for how you know, because obviously.
Just send you the
Yeah.
revised.
Chuck and Jamie work during the day, so they haven't had a chance to be here as much as I have. So I would just suggest that you format it however you feel is best to communicate so they're informed.
Okay, that doesn't help.
This way, if, you're going to walk us through it, right?
Yeah, that's
So
true.
basically, if it helps you walk us through it, go for it.
Well, but do you want to see what's there and that we want to replace it with? I assume that you would want to see it that way, that would be the best thing for the select board to see, or just the new ones. No, just the new ones will be.
Because they can go back
I don't, I look at, we've gone through a year's worth of meetings. I don't think we should discuss every single point. The commission's made a recommendation. This is what the new bylaw is. Maybe include a copy of the old bylaw. And then if there's any questions about why we changed something, you address it,
Okay, sounds good. All right. So to Donna today, all right.
It's a really long meeting on Thursday. That is going to be,
And does it finance?
many folks with many opinions. So I would suggest that, this will be something that's probably going to be non-controversial and we'll sail through, but who knows?
I hope.
Is that the last meeting for?
Before the warrant
Yeah.
and there's some, whatever, it's all good.
Okay, now, so thank you all. I mean, we've made it through that whole bylaw thing and we did a good job. So
It's nice and simple now.
I think it's going to be easier to read. One of the problems I felt at times, they were hard to read. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, what is it saying, so we're trying to make it easier to read. Okay, so the next thing would be signs for the cemetery.
okay. So I got in touch with MassCore through Hugh. And MassCore would not be able to produce the oval that we wanted they would produce something that looks more like a no parking sign. And so it's all very standard traffic-y looking signs that MassCore can create for us. However, that cost might be somewhere around $14 per sign. Pat gave me the name of Gee Signs in Canaan, Connecticut. And so I sent the mock-up to them. And they could also do it, and they run about $65 per sign. And if we approve that, it would be a 1 to 2 week production. And Gee Sign produces some beautiful signs all over New England. And this would also be an aluminum sign, much like MassCore would do, but it would be in the oval shape that we wanted. And so that's the news on the signs.
Okay, good. And you've had experience with.
They've done all the signs that are,
Yeah.
that you can see right out back here.
So it sounds like maybe we should go to them for all of our signs, or what do you think?
Yeah, I would love to talk with them more about these signs and that they can provide some customization so it doesn't just look like a traffic sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they can do some beautiful things.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think, now we can't vote on that, but I think we can give you permission to go ahead and speak to them. And I'd love to see it would be nice to have something that isn't just a traffic sign kind of thing.
Right.
Okay.
And also just FYI, at one of our last meetings, or at some point, we discussed that there were 5 places potentially where these signs could go. So we'd be looking at a total of 5 signs that say cemetery open dawn to dusk.
And do you have a sense of I'm sorry, you might have mentioned the price already, what you think the price might be?
At Gee's sign, it's $65 each.
Okay.
So for a total, that would be $325 if we got 5 signs.
Okay.
And I don't know what our tax status is, but we could, if the town buys these, I presume we're tax exempt, but I don't actually know that.
Candace, does that include some sort of a stake to put them on, or is that just the sign itself?
That's just the sign itself, and it requires that somebody at the town would actually do the installation.
Okay.
And
So they would have some sort of holes for the
screws.
attachments. Okay.
Yes.
And Hugh, they can do the installation, right? The highway, yeah.
That was the original plan, yes, with the other signs. So I think that would still be true with these signs as well.
Okay, all right. So we can go ahead and just continue pursuing.
Okay.
And maybe we can get it finalized in our May meeting, which would be
Okay.
great. Yeah, okay, wonderful.
Yeah, because they'll be able to send a nice PDF with the mock-ups.
Okay,
At least that's what they've done for Laurel Hill.
okay, good. So the next following up is time issues. I saw from the last meeting that somebody did a follow-up with Tom Farley, and
Yes.
he recommends pulling things out by
He
tablespoon.
said doing plugs, and we were thinking that these plugs were going to be big plugs, but he was suggesting plugs that were spoon size. Just take a spoon and do a plug, because we were thinking that if we took plugs, that there would be leaving these gaping holes. But these holes would be very small. So I
Right,
don't think that would be too much of an issue.
yeah.
But he suggested a test plot. To do a test plot and see how that goes, which sounded like a good idea.
Right.
So in conjunction with the test plot, we could also then talk with Bill and Ian from Preservation Inc. and say, what is the right distance? You know, how far out would it be best to have the time planted? So we could do a test plot in a couple of areas, maybe an area where there are a couple of stones that are kind of close together, so they're having trouble getting in and out anyway.
Yeah.
Also, I just talked to somebody in the hallway before the meeting who has a bunch of time on her property that she'd like to donate and was willing to plant. So,
Is it the same
I don't
variety
know.
of
That I
that's
don't
what's
know.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do.
probably. There's a lot of creeping time around, so
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, I've got time in my front yard too.
Yeah,
I wish the whole front yard.
I know. Yeah, I've been moving some around in my property as well. Although I must admit, I think it might be easiest to stick with the time that's already there. You
Yeah.
know, it's totally adapted
Yeah.
to that environment.
Right.
There's no question about it. Now, one of the things I started exploring was I contacted Greenagers about the possibility of hiring them because Hugh has said there's often money left in the labor side of things for the cemetery, hiring them to do some of this work. Is this something maybe I should continue? I sort of stopped and said, we need to get more information. I'll get back to you. But I think she was talking maybe $800 or something. Is that something you want me to continue looking into?
Sounds like a good idea.
So we're not all of us bending over, you know? Okay. So we could identify a test plot and then hire them maybe to do something in that area. And then I will check them out and see. It may be too late to schedule them at this point, so I don't know. All right. I noticed so the next item is the preservation work on the historic stones. I noticed in the last meeting, you guys were talking about who would be trained. That is something that, all of this, from what I understand, is a lot of stuff's going to happen in June. So the next cleaning round of cleaning will be June. Also the training of the highway department to do resetting will be in June. And so basically Preservation Inc. and the highway department have to work out how they're going to cover basically a week's worth of training, but not all consecutively because it's too hard to get all the highway department people together. So I did put them in touch with each other. I'm assuming we're going to hear more about that. Okay. So any questions or anything you want me to do more on that one? Wow. So the next thing is the policies. That's the Candace's policies. Hopefully you have it with you. I have it with me as well. Candace, you had said you made a couple of changes last time round. Was there, well, actually, let's just walk through it. Do you have your copy, Pat?
Do I have my copy?
Is that the one dated February 2nd?
You know, I don't,
I'm bringing it up.
yeah, I don't have a date on mine either. You know, I may have an older one too, now that I think about it. It looks like it's got a bunch of deleted
I've
things.
got this.
Oh, that looks different from mine. Let's see. Oh, I like this version better. This is in. You've got B, Rick.
I've got a clean one that I copied off of your email.
Yeah, does that say B on the bottom of it? At the very end, it should say REV. Does it say B?
On the last page.
Yeah, I think it'll be the last page, or maybe it's at the very bottom. I may move over to sit next to Pat because I think she's got a better, more readable version, so I'm gonna do that.
This was dated February 2nd.
Yeah. Do you have yours up yet, Candace?
Yeah, mine says drafted February 2 at the top of the first page.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, what you passed out was, I think, revision A, which is dated February 21st. At the footer, there's a footer.
And this one says Rev B.
Yeah, that's what I sent.
This
out.
one says 2023-02-21 Rev B.
Hang on, I'm so
Maybe it
sorry.
had,
It's okay. No, it's all right. And actually, I think we could just start out saying, you know, how the format and, you know, the definitions. Do we like that? You know, how's that going?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. I mean, before we get, drill down into, oh, I hate that expression. I shouldn't have used it.
Sounds like the
On a going
dentist.
forward basis, I don't want to use it.
So Pat, what version does the top say?
It says definitions and policies for Stockbridge Cemetery in bold. And then under that says drafted February 2, 2023.
Okay, great.
And then the footer says Stockbridge Cemetery definitions and policies 2023-02-21 Rev B, and then page 1 of 6.
Okay,
Or 1 of 6, doesn't say page.
Okay.
And then the second page is cemetery, markers and monuments.
okay, I think, can you go back-
Definitions.
if you go back to page 1,
Yes,
it says the topics include markers and monuments,
Mm-hmm.
plants, planters and decorations. And what's the third one say on your version?
Natural burial.
natural burial.
So I changed that to say natural and conventional burial.
That's what I have. And that is what was circulated in your email, Karen. I just brought it.
Yeah, see, this
Okay.
is, I didn't print that page,
Oh,
because
okay.
I didn't think it had changed. I
Okay.
didn't look.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Are there a
Yeah.
lot of other changes?
No, I think that might have
Okay,
been
great.
it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, good.
Although the other one that I find clunky is on page 3, item number 2.
Oh, when two side by side, 4 foot?
Yes,
That is a little hard to read, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
and what's also difficult is determining, are we providing a maximum width as well as height?
We probably should, don't you think? I mean, otherwise we could end up with something that's covering the whole. Oh, actually, reading it again, it's not so bad. I see.
No, I didn't think it was,
Yeah, you're
when
right,
two
it's
side
fine.
by side.
Yeah.
Maybe side by side you could hyphenate.
That would help. I think that would help.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah. And we're saying one upright monument is allowed with setbacks of minimum 2 feet from each side and flush with the back of the plot.
Yeah, that doesn't sound bad to me.
So flush with the back means, but still 2 feet in from the top of the plot, right?
No, the way they set the markers is actually, so the back of the marker is at the back
Okay.
plot line.
So the side doesn't refer to that top side or the bottom side, the long sides then.
Right.
Can
we add long side in there? Because I was a little confused there. And I could imagine other people saying, but I
Can
thought.
you put diagrams in these, or does it have to all be words? Can it be a picture?
I don't know, because we're going to put this on the website.
So I don't understand your confusion. So in 2 feet from each side and flush with the back, it seems like there's only one place that could be.
Right, just like
Okay.
flush with the back of the plot.
Oh, you're right. It's fine. You're right.
And the width is sort of effective because if you got 2 feet on each side, the whole plot's only 8 feet wide, then underneath you're 4 feet of width.
So that's the maximum you could do.
Seems
So-
fine with 2
Yeah,
inches
so-
tall.
Yeah, so look at number 3, a 1 4x10 plot is assigned. One marker with a lower profile is preferred to an upright monument. However, this isn't saying anything now about side setbacks or, um,
Well, shouldn't it be the same as it was with the two or, well, no, 2
The
feet.
problem is you can't have
Right.
2 feet on each side if it's only 4 feet wide.
That's right.
so you
It's
could,
almost like,
this gets.
It's complicated.
It gets difficult to say, so do we allow 6 inches from each side or a foot from each side? So that means your monument is now probably going to be more of a tall and skinnier versus a large monument.
Mm-hmm.
what about mowing? If you have a bunch of single plots together, It's not gonna be any space.
Yeah, there's a mowing issue.
Well, and that's already what we deal with in the historic sections, right? We often see these tablet type things that are upright.
Yeah, but we want to make it so it's functional for now, for our current situation. So,
Well, I guess I'm just saying it's no different from the historic areas.
we'll be planting a lot more thyme. Maybe we should require people to plant thyme around their headstones starting now, and then 50 years from now, no one will have to think about it.
Not a bad idea.
Actually, we could require.
Because then we could put that in the plants, planters and decorations thing.
Yeah, well, actually, she's got recommendations of what you can put in, but maybe we should say you have to put something in. Or we do it. Oh, these are definitely, yeah, something planters.
I still think a diagram would be nice. That would be easy to put in Word.
Yeah, I'm happy to put a diagram in. I just wasn't sure about,
All we have to do is do it in PowerPoint and
Yep.
make it a JPEG and then just import it.
yeah,
But that, yeah, okay, I think we should do that. That's a great
okay,
idea.
okay,
So-
I can do that.
Okay, so back to number 3. I wonder if we should put in some guidelines.
Okay. Well,
6 inches, 8 inches from either side, flush with the back. It's 4 foot. So if you go in, I can't do that.
Yeah, 1 foot on either side would be a 2 foot wide thing.
right.
Seems adequate.
I mean, I can take another look at this to look at some standard stone sizes to make sure what we're doing is,
Is it worth maybe giving a call to Rich Atwood and asking him what his experience is with this?
yep, I can do that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, great. This is helpful.
Okay. Anything else?
So this would still allow 2 people that were buried next to each other, like a husband and wife, if they happen to both die at the same time. Right now, if one dies and a year later another one dies,
It's still reserved.
it's still reserved.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
okay.
plot, the two plot is
So even
reserved.
though we don't allow family plots anymore,
But we don't allow anything more than 2.
yes,
Yeah,
right.
Right.
So
right. Yeah, but the second one is
Right.
always reserved.
So you can still have one marker for both.
Yes,
Yes.
Like my mother and father have one marker.
Marker, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's not by plot, yeah.
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 It's more like parents.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this isn't one of those case-by-case basis that the cemetery commission allows, right? Because we don't say anything about spouses or partners being buried next to each other. But
Yeah.
it's sort of a given.
Yeah.
Which I think is appropriate.
And if they divorce after the first one dies?
Not our problem. We give that plot away.
Divorced after everybody dies.
That's right.
What was that comment?
You don't get divorced after you've died, after someone has died. You don't need to. Are there any other, under the plants, planters and decorations, any other? I like that you're prohibiting glass balloons and candles. I think that's important. I like that you're prohibiting plastic. Any other comments besides mine?
What about the ones the plastics that say biodegradable in 300 years?
No. Too long, too long.
They're,
No, I think we're better off
Yeah.
just saying no plastic.
yeah,
And I have to confess, item number 3, seasonal decorations, I say except flags must be biodegradable. I have now seen that, we can, flags that don't have a plastic stick, for lack of a better word, are possible. I don't know what's being used at the Stockbridge Cemetery, if the flags are right now, biodegradable or not.
They're wood, yeah, the poles are.
They are wood, okay. And the flag themselves, it is, that might be some type of poly, I'm guessing, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, probably is.
So I didn't want to cause a kerfuffle with
Mhm.
requiring the flags to be biodegradable, because in most cases, I believe those are getting picked up again.
I think they are, yeah. The other thing, nice thing about having it this, if down the road we're having a problem with it, we can change it. It's not in the bylaw, it's
Right.
in this, so
That's what's great.
yeah, I really wanted to, yeah. That's why we want to do it this way. Okay,
If we want to get more restrictive,
we can, right?
we can.
We can,
or-
we can open up too.
Right.
All right.
Under plantings, item number 4, I did put in barren strawberry, Waldstenia fragiloides. And that's because I've seen it used in a couple cemeteries, and it's not aggressive, it's sweet, and it's low growing. Although Hugh thought it doesn't grow all that well out here in the Berkshires. I think that's what he said, or it might be a little too aggressive. So we may or may not want to include that. We may or may not want to include this plant list, but I thought something might be helpful.
I liked the plant list because it gives people guidance.
Yes.
Otherwise, they're like, I don't know what to plant.
And suggestions too, if they want to do
Yeah.
a planting and then like, what can we do?
Yeah.
That will help them.
Okay. And so what's a little different now for the highway department or who's ever mowing the lawn is they're used to having a planter around a monument. They're not used to having plantings in front of the monument. So, this might be a little education. We might have some areas where we're going to lose a few plants now and then because the weed whacker got them or a lawnmower clipped them.
Well, once this is finalized, Candace and I can meet with Hugh and just go over it and see,
Make changes.
once we've said, well, this is what we want to go with, then we could meet with him and say that, how does this work for you, for mowing and all that? And we can and then we can, nice thing about it is it's easy to make these changes when we think we need to. So let's do that. Let's get it in the shape we want it and then let's meet with him.
Okay,
Okay?
great.
All right. Anything else that you want us to go over? Natural, conventional burials. I think these definitions are very helpful.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Yep. Anything else? Or are we good?
We're good with that.
Good. Excellent. I'm sorry I wrote on your copy.
No, that's all right.
So, all right. We are actually done. Our next meeting is May 23rd, which is our normal meeting time. No snowstorms, no stomach viruses, okay, we promise. All right. I'm going to create a packet, as I said, for the select board to review. And it will be on Thursday's meeting, so I will be there. And if you guys can come, that would be great. Or, show up in some way, that's fine.
It's
If not,
Thursday at 6:30.
yeah, you'll be able to see where it is on the
Yeah.
agenda once the agenda's out, so.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's going to be a long meeting. I'm hoping I'm near the top, so.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is the current status? Are there benches in the cemetery?
No, we don't have any benches in there.
That would be nice to have a bench in the cemetery. People that go there and,
I know it's a slog sometimes.
it's a big area, and some of the people that are going there are probably older, like us. And I think a bench would be nice.
It's an interesting idea. I think it would be fun to talk that over with Hugh to see what kinds of requirement, how does it affect the highway department? And then I'm wondering if we could offer memorial benches,
Yes,
do a little bit of fundraising for the cemetery. So
because the highway department makes benches.
they do.
Oh, yes. They made 2 benches for Laurel Hill. If you go to the cul-de-sac, Park Street cul-de-sac,
yeah.
and take that trail that goes that starts out on Laurel Hill property, but goes along the river and over to the ballpark, on the Bidwell property.
Yeah.
There's one of those
Oh, I didn't
new
know they made
benches,
benches.
bench there.
I think let's talk about that at
Well,
some
he'll
point.
put them in.
Yeah.
For us. They have the forms for the concrete.
Yeah.
It's a lovely bench.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
We had, they started out with pressure treated, but
Didn't hold
changed it to cedar because there was grumbling in the board. And I said, pressure treated.
We are actually all done. So,
Motion adjourned?
motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thanks, Candace.
Okay, ciao.